My name is Robert Loerzel, a journalist and historian in Chicago. I'm the co-author of a new book commemorating the centennial of one of our city's grandest movie palaces, the Uptown Theater. This historic venue has been closed since 1981. It's still a mesmerizing place, though, just waiting for a comeback. But 100 years ago, it dazzled visitors like few movie palaces had done so before it. 1925 was the height of movie mania in the United States. Silent movies were the big deal at the time, and everyone was going to see them. Balaban and Katz had built several movie palaces around Chicago, including the Chicago Theater downtown. But this was the crown jewel. They were coming back to the north side, right next to the Riviera Theater that they had opened 7 years earlier, but building a much bigger, more lavish theater, the Uptown. They had a philosophy that they wanted every man and woman to feel like he was a king, she was a queen. When they stepped into the movie theater, it was an escape from everyday life. If you walked in off the streets of Chicago, step inside the doors and you'd feel like you were inside a castle. The architects who designed this theater and the other Balaban and Katz theaters in the 1920s were Rapp and Rapp, who were based here in Chicago. And they had taken trips to Europe and seen places like the Palace of Versailles, and they wanted a taste of that here in Chicago. Chicago had a lot of European immigrants who probably had the same sort of attitude, that they kind of wanted a taste of being in old Europe when they stepped into a place like this. And the Uptown, Spain was the main point of reference. There was a lot of pop culture at the time about Latin lovers and Spanish castles. The Aragon Ballroom down the street from here was built the next year, and that also has a Spanish theme. They had the grand opening of the theater, and the Uptown neighborhood held a week-long festival. So they had marching bands. There was a daredevil who was setting himself on fire and jumping off of a building into a pool of water. The estimates of the number of people who came here on the streets of Uptown over the course of 6 days range from 500,000 to 750,000 people. And of that number, there were tens of thousands who came through the Uptown Theater. Balaban and Katz encouraged people to come into this grand lobby and other parts of the theater and to just sort of linger here. Like, don't rush in and see the movie. You should spend some time looking around at all this beautiful artwork while you're in the building. At that time, it did seem profitable for Balaban and Katz to spend, it would be about $100 million today. And they did have some trouble filling all 4,000 seats as time went on. So the place becomes a neighborhood movie theater. But as the Great Depression hits, hard times hit, and Balaban and Katz was no exception. A lot of the movie theater companies ran into financial trouble.
My name is Jerry Michelson. I am the owner of Chicago's Uptown Theater and president and CEO of Jam Productions, a concert producer and promoter based in Chicago. So I'd always had my eyes on this theater because Jam Productions produced all the concerts here from 1975 to 1981, including Grateful Dead, Bruce Springsteen, Frank Zappa, Bob Marley, Genesis, John Mellencamp. the end of 1981, the bathrooms were barely functioning and we had to buy the oil to heat the furnaces. And I told the owner he's got to clean it up, fix it up, and get it ready, and he didn't, and he closed it. There were a bunch of nefarious owners who took possession of this theater and didn't really care. So I kept watching for a chance to buy it in order to preserve it and save it. And that opportunity occurred in 2008. The plan was to work with the city, who had promised me a lot of money before I purchased it in TIF money, so that I could put together the financing scenario to make the numbers work. Well, as soon as I took over and the money that was promised, the city said wasn't there anymore. That was Mayor Daley.
Now, every one of us would drive back and down over Broadway and look at this boarded up building and wonder what's in.
We're here today to announce a new joint venture between Chicago's own Jam Productions and Farpoint Development. And together with the City of Chicago and other public assistance, they will restore the theater as a modern, state-of-the-art entertainment venue and the crown jewel of the Uptown Entertainment District.
After that press conference, it wasn't long after when COVID hit in 2020. Nobody wanted to put up money for any project, whether it was commercial, residential, or a theater. In the last year, I hired architects, engineers, consultants to re-look at the costs and do a deep dive and a deep analysis, and it's $190 million.
I've never seen a show at the Uptown Theater. This was shuttered before I was even born. My name is Angela Clay. I am the alderwoman of the 46th Ward in Chicago. I'm really excited to be working with the owners of this building, all of our city, state, and federal partners to make sure that we put our money where our mouth is, put some dollars into rehabbing it and also getting it back into its glory. So currently we are standing in the Lawrence and Broadway TIF, tax incremental financing. TIF zones are set up to basically capture a tax increase so that we can use those extra funds to pour back into our communities. Right now, there is no price tag that's exclusive for the Uptown Theater because we want to make sure that other projects also have an equal amount of accessible funds available. But we are also looking for other partners to join in on that because it is such a massive financial lift. We have to do everything that is within the confines of the National Historic Registry. That takes time and it also takes some deep pockets.
In the early 60s, I remember running through the lobby and trying to get the best seat at the time. I'm David Cifch. My role here is security and caretaker of the building. In a previous life, I was a Chicago police officer. People my age, we grew up on movie palaces. So, my idea was, well, gee, every neighborhood must have one of these. But little did I know how lucky we were to have the finest work of Rapp and Rapp, the architectural firm, and the collaboration with Balaban and Katz to be in our neighborhood of Uptown. So the majority of the building is still here. Whatever is gone or showing wear and tear can all be replicated. It absolutely must be saved to preserve it for future generations. A work of architecture like this rarely comes along, and once it's gone, it's going to be gone forever.
Everyone say hello to your neighbor.
There's always hope, and everyone's always positive about the Uptown. This is what people want. It's the main draw for Uptown that we need back online. I'm Andy Pierce, co-author of The Uptown, Chicago's Endangered Movie Palace. I've been following the Uptown and one of the volunteers since the 1990s. So we've celebrated 75th, 80th, then we paused a bit, now we're going to celebrate the 100th. Not only is it a viable venue, but it has a cachet that none of the other venues in Chicago have. It's landmarked inside and out, it has that protection. It's got an owner that pays the bills, the insurance, and is working on a project and a plan. I may be frustrated or disappointed like other people, but I'm also very excited that we got a book together for the 100th anniversary that can share all of these images and stories that we knew and we had. We really feel it will spark a movement to help save the building. The state support is there, the city support is there. It's just going to take a tremendous act of altruism to get it started.
I stepped up at a time when a gentleman who was going to take it over was going to turn it into an indoor go-kart track. That's what this theater was facing. It's too important to lose this, and I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing until I get the money to get the doors open. It's a masterpiece, so I'm hopeful that there will be people like me who want to preserve this theater.